And now for the cloning stamp. What is the cloning stamp? Well, this guy right over here is the clone stamp. And this uses a brush as well, but we need to use the Alt key. And I'm going to Control plus to zoom in, and I'm going to show you how this works. So simply by, we're going to zoom in, and we're going to actually clone Mona Lisa's eye into her forehead. So this is great for removing blemishes. This is great for filling in some details. I'm going to show you how we're going to fix this detail that duplicated. See how we got part of her shirt here and it duplicated in this space? Well, we don't want that to look that obvious. So I'm going to clone this area here into this area here so it's less inconspicuous. But let's see how this works in the first place. So with the clone stamp, you want to set up your brush once again. And I don't want it to look like it's cut out with a pair of scissors, so I'll demonstrate that first. In order to copy an area with the clone stamp, you need to sample it first. So if you hold down the Alt key, your brush turns into a target. See that? So if I hover over her eye and I target directly over her pupil, and I click to sample that area with the target, and I let go of my mouse and the Alt key, now I move that. See how it's inside my brush? Now I can click and paint that area up here. But notice it looks like it's cut out with a pair of scissors. So how do we eliminate that? Well, that's simply by changing the hardness of your brush from 100% to 0%. Now I'm going to Alt click on the eye. By the way, if you're on a Mac, that's your Option key. Alt click to sample, let go of your mouse and your Option or your Alt key. Now move into position, and when you paint, it's now blended in. So that soft brush gives you that illusion that it's blended into the background. There we go. Now Mona Lisa has a third eye. Control Z to undo. So that's great for removing blemishes. You use a much smaller brush and you can sample those areas. Now how about this right here? So I want to take this area here and paint it to cover this odd copy of her dress out of the picture from our content aware that did a pretty good job, as you can see, but it gave us a duplicate of the spot we don't want. So I'm going to decrease the size of the brush. That's better. I'm going to Alt click on the area I want to copy, click, open, and you can see it's attached inside my mouse. And I'm just going to paint that out. Now, as you paint, can you see where the crosshair is from where you were painting from? If you go too far, you end up painting things you don't want. So Control Z. So my strong suggestion is you do a little bit at a time. So I'm going to Alt click, sample, move my mouse into position, and I'm going to move down a little bit, but then I'm going to Alt click and sample another spot and come back this way, and then I'm going to Alt click. So you don't have to sample from the same area. You can keep Alt clicking as I'm doing here. Alt click paint, Alt click paint, Alt click paint. And this gives you a lot of surface area to work with to try to blend that in so it doesn't look so obvious that you're copying the exact same area over and over again. The idea is to have that look like it's disappearing. Like so. There we go. And Control 0. So there we go. We've just eliminated this edge of her dress, which came in when we did the content aware, which wasn't a bad thing. So see here on the left side, we have the exact same thing. It copied part of her dress into this spot. Again, it's content aware. It's picking up content and trying to duplicate it in such a way that it looks like it disappears. However, it didn't do it here. So again, using your creative eye, Alt click. Let's try to paint, Alt click some of this out. So it doesn't look nearly as obvious. Again, Alt click. This is going to be a little bit trickier because it does actually close off. So we'll just try to fake it. What would Da Vinci have put in here? Hopefully he's not mad at us for altering this as much as we're altering it. So I'm going to grab some of this, paint over here, this area here. Let's see. How'd we do? We'll soon find out, I suppose. So it looks like this area is somehow comes down. And perhaps this whole area is painted in here. I'm not sure. When in doubt, and that's looking kind of messy over here, even though it's in the background, we can do other things. Like, I'm going to grab a slightly bigger brush and see this left side. I'm actually going to Alt click on this side and paint it over here. Nope. That's quite a bit darker. So we're just going to fake it here. We're just going to attempt to be Da Vinci's. Alt click, and see how well we can fill that in. We can also change the opacity of that, like we can with any other brush, and just kind of swoop it in here and see how we do. Kind of like if I did her eye, I can do, that's at 48%. See how it only paints in 48%, not 100%? So you have complete control over the opacity of the brush, what you sample, Option, click, and paint. There we go. And so maybe it disappears a little bit more. There we go. So we don't have her shirt over here duplicated, and we don't have this part of her shirt over here and duplicated and having this odd piece of material stuck in the middle of the painting. So that's a lot less distracting. And again, because it's background, we can get away with quite a bit here. If it was on her face, we want to make sure we were paying really close attention to detail. And that is how you clone. Alt click target, let go, move to your mouse to the area you want to paint in, and off you go. And that is cloning.